Rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In your packets, you should have the minutes from the August 16th Plan Commission. Are there any amendments or changes, corrections? Pretty straightforward. The minutes will be accepted as presented. At this time, is there any public comments for anything that's not on our agenda? Seeing no public and no response, we'll move on to our next item. In your packets also is the 2017 schedule for the Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals meetings. This is for informational purposes. We do this every year. So, you know, as posted, we meet on the first and third Tuesdays normally. If anybody has some comments or would like to bring a point up, now would be a good time.
Well, I don't know who, but somebody always points out that the first meeting in April is April 4th, which is, I believe, also Election Day. So as that day approaches, we may want to do something with that because everybody needs to deposit all their ballots from all the other places
correct.
here and that sort of thing. So
I think that's on your radar, right, Jonathan?
that's the only thing that jumps out at me, and so that can be reflected in the minutes then, and we can show we all noticed it, but I was the only one that brought it up, so.
Okay.
There we go.
Any other comments? Okay, so that is for your informational purposes. Do we have a development report?
You know, we had a fifth Monday and then the Labor Day holiday, so the village board hasn't met recently, but I did at least want to take this opportunity to formally introduce Andrew Bogday. Andrew is our new associate planner, started with the village last week. He's prepared the report for this evening's case, and we look forward to Andrew working with us here in the coming months and years ahead. For background, he has about 5 years of experience with John Green Commercial Realtors. Comes to us most recently from John Green and prior planning experience in Algonquin. So he's already jumped right in and made a great contribution right off the bat. So we welcome Andrew.
Welcome to the village.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one case before the Plan Commission this evening. It's case number 1727-061716.REZ/FP for the property located at 14125 South Van Dyke Road. And it's a request for preliminary and final plat. Do we have a planner's report?
Yes, good evening. As you stated, the case being considered tonight is case number 1727-061716. The petitioner, Dave Shobar, is requesting approval of a preliminary and final plat of subdivision for the property at 14125 South Van Dyke Road, also known as Shobar's Re-Subdivision. The petitioner previously came before the Plan Commission on July 5th, requesting to rezone a portion of his property to allow for the conversion of an existing building to residential use for his personal home. The Plan Commission voted 4-1 to recommend denial of the rezoning request. The rationale offered for the recommendation included a desire to maintain Plainfield's limited supply of industrially zoned property, conflict with the comprehensive plan's future land use designation of heavy industrial, and potential for spot zoning. Meanwhile, one commissioner supported the request while noting similar loft and industrial condo conversions that can be found in other communities. The Board of Trustees considered the case at its meeting on July 18th. The village board voted 3-1 to approve the rezoning request. In order to maintain the existing light industrial zoning on the remainder of the parcel, a subdivision is required. The petitioner is seeking approval of a preliminary and final plat of subdivision. The subject site is a triangular parcel of approximately 1.3 acres. The property is improved with a metal building and fenced-in yard that is currently used for outdoor storage. Lot 1, which is to the north, will be 21,280 square feet, will remain utilized for outdoor storage, and will retain the I-1 zoning. Lot 2 will be 30,651 square feet and will be rezoned R1. Lot 2 includes the existing one-story building that will be converted to residential use. Lot 2 complies with the requirements of the village's zoning ordinance and subdivision code, particularly with regard to minimum lot area, minimum lot width, lot frontage, and minimum setbacks. Lot 1 complies with the requirements of the village's zoning ordinance and subdivision code with regard to lot width, lot frontage, and minimum setbacks. At 21,280 square feet, Lot 1 barely misses the minimum lot area requirement of 24,000 square feet for I-1. However, given that the lot will be developed and will not be developed and will remain used for outdoor storage, we believe an exception can be made, particularly as the property's irregular shape and small size would have likely prevented significant industrial development regardless of whether it was re-subdivided or not. Furthermore, since this is a re-subdivision of a single lot of an old subdivision, and since this re-subdivision will not be detrimental to the public welfare, nor will it substantially deviate from the official plan of Plainfield, we believe that a variance or exception can be allowed in this case. To conclude, the Board of Trustees has approved the rezoning request for this property. The proposed preliminary and final plat of subdivision mostly complies with the requirements of the village's zoning ordinance and subdivision code, and staff is recommending approval. Should the Plan Commission concur, the following motions are offered for your consideration. For the preliminary plat of subdivision, I move that we recommend approval of the preliminary plat of Shobar's re-subdivision subject to the following two stipulations: compliance with the requirements of the village engineer and compliance with the requirements of the Plainfield Fire Protection District. And then for the final plat of subdivision, I move that we recommend approval of the final plat of Shobar's re-subdivision subject to the following two stipulations: compliance with the requirements of the village engineer and compliance with the requirements of the Plainfield Fire Protection District.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone representing the applicant this evening? Do you know if they were scheduled to be here, or?
They were made aware of the meeting, but I was not given an indication of their intention to participate.
Well, for the commissioners, I know several of the commissioners were not here for when this subject property had come up before. Just to kind of give you a brief overview, it's indicated in the planner's report, but they had asked to rezone it, and our board had denied that. The village then did approve the rezoning request. So what's before you, the main and really only issue, is the final plat for the subdivision. So that's the issue in front of us. Commissioners at this time are free to ask questions or offer comments on this.
I do have a couple questions. First of all, at 21,280, do we need a variance to allow it for re-subdivision because it's not 24?
My approach is that the Plan Commission's recommendation relative to the plat as proposed would be sufficient, that a formal variance would not be required. In other words, not a public hearing, not going before the Zoning Board of Appeals. I think staff, we can take this opportunity between now and the time that official Mylar is prepared to potentially find a way to capture that additional 3,000 square feet.
Well,
bring it
that's the
up.
next question, because the total lot is somewhere around 52,000 square feet. So if we divide that by half, it should be 25 each. So 1 and 2 should be minimum size. And I vaguely recall this, but I don't believe it was supported, the original application, with any exact diagram or any lines of demarcation as to where lot 1 or lot 2 was going to go. Is that what we had before?
That's correct. The applicant had, their intentions were clear.
Right, but they wanted to subdivide it, but they didn't say exactly where and how and what was the square footage.
Well, it was actually staff's direction to
Oh.
defer this final plat process because, in staff's opinion, the rezoning request was a little bit uncertain. And so staff didn't want the applicant to spend the additional filing fees and fees on the surveyor preparing a plat until we had direction from the village board.
I can understand that, and that's the thing that is also open for statement. I tend to take issue with anything that says it will not be detrimental to the public, or those whole two lines. I think whether it will or won't is a moot question because the board decided and they have defined the definition, and so they've said it doesn't. So whether we agree or whether we disagree doesn't bear any matter because they've already decided the issue. The question that I have, though, is, again, being literal, I figure that some would be 24 square feet and the extra square footage would go in the other, and that we wouldn't have any part that's under the limitations for either residential or industrial.
Does part of that stem from the fact that the building's at kind of a unique angle and how it goes into the lot 1 to the lot 2? Is that why they couldn't come up with a lot? My concern, kind of shared with what Commissioner Renzi's saying, is in your staff report, they use the term variance, but yet they're not requesting a variance.
I think this is something that Mr. Bogda had identified upon being, assigned the case. And I think we have an opportunity to find that additional 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
It was language too that I found in the subdivision code, and it referenced, that sentence about being detrimental to the public welfare and not deviating, and they use the variance language, but I don't necessarily think that we have to make an official variance in this case.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, if the commission feels it's appropriate as an additional stipulation for the final plat motion, for example, that you would potentially recommend approval on the condition that both lots meet the minimum lot size requirements, staff could work within those parameters.
Well, I mean, we can see how the other commissioners feel on that matter, but you seem fairly confident that you're going to be able to, when this is finally drawn up, find that additional 3,000 square feet? Okay, please. Commissioners are free to continue.
And just so the record be clear, I like the idea of the extra stipulation, either a variance allowing it to be under 24 or a requirement that the lot goes to 24. I think the edict is pretty clear from the board that we should re-subdivide the lot. So I'm thinking that we should be literal and either, yes, provided it gets 24,000, or, okay, we can get a variance up to the 21,580 for I, and I'm okay with either stipulation because, as Mr. Bogdo will find out, we sit at the pleasure of the elected officials, and they make the final decision, so we can just kick it up to them. But I think we should possibly have one or the other, and I'll let the other planning commissioners decide which of those two variants we should go for.
Any other comments, questions?
Well, I would second that. I'd like to, I see the way these lots are drawn, but to be honest, I don't, I see a 7-foot setback at a point on the building. Well, the first thing I'm thinking, well, let's bring that lot line around and put the building, make it parallel to the building so we can pick up some square footage there for the northern lot. And then I guess once you're past the building, you could do something too. I guess this, probably was discussed previously, but now that it's going to be a reality, so if this southern lot's going to be zoned residential, then would we expect there to continue to be outdoor storage on that lot as well? If he's using it as a residence, or is he committed to moving everything off that lot then? And
That's my understanding, is that
or would it then become a violation if he has outdoor storage on the residential lot?
correct, that it's his intention to come into zoning compliance upon completion of the rezoning request.
I think I made my, point at the prior meeting. I wasn't happy with the way this turned out. I would have preferred to see the zoning stay industrial and maybe, entertain a special use for the owner to have that use he needed there, but then have that use disappear once he's gone. So I think that would have been the better way to do it, but obviously the village board thought otherwise, so I think we're stuck with it. But I do agree we should at least try to get the lots into compliance, the industrial lot, so it's not substandard.
Yeah, I have the same feeling about the industrial lot, lot 1. I think I'd like to see that try to meet the code recommendation, and I had a similar feeling as well with the outdoor storage. So is it safe to assume as well then that the applicant would, I guess, move the existing fencing to meet the screening and buffering requirements, so that lot 1 would basically be cut off with a 6-foot fence?
I believe that's the intention. So at this point, the applicant has several building permits in, and they are just kind of on hold pending completion of this rezoning request. So we'll continue to process those, work with the building department upon completion of the rezoning.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time they were here, we had someone representing the applicant, and I thought he'd indicated that the idea was to clean up that storage lot and bring it into compliance and have some better screening, so I
Certainly, I
would hope
know
that that's
on the-
followed up.
on the front of the property, the property owner indicated a desire to remove the driveway, to remove any vehicles that were parked or stored or displayed in the front yard area, and potentially restore some of that with some grass. So, at a minimum, the front yard will be greatly improved in appearance, potentially with some enhancements to the building. I know there's been some brick applied to the facade. I think the owner would like to continue to make some additional improvements to the actual physical appearance of the building as well.
Any other comments? Sure,
Seem
go ahead.
confident that, excuse me, that 3,000 square feet could be made up. Is there any proposal on the table from the applicant or thoughts as to where that will be made up?
No, again, this is, and thanks to Mr. Bogda for his diligence in reviewing. Just given the size of the lots, as the commission's noted, I think certainly several opportunities you could, as Commissioner Segerbrook suggested, make the shared lot line somewhat parallel to the building edge there, which would increase the road frontage for lot 1 and decrease the road frontage for lot 2. Could probably pick up several hundred, square feet or more of lot area there, and some, it may be an irregular lot line, but the lot line to the rear there could have a section that's earmarked or devoted to lot 1, or would reduce the overall lot area for lot 2. So, I think the surveyor could probably come up with something that has the least irregularities, for lack of a finer term.
Sure, there's definitely some challenging geometry, and my only thought was, in the future, if this were to be, change hands and then be an industrial development, that sort of we have some forethought with that, so that it's actually useful space for a potential future development, as opposed to just sort of meeting the requests and the suggestions here by the board.
Well, I'm hearing some consensus here. I think really we have two options as far as adding another stipulation. We can one option would be to have a motion for a variance allowing the smaller lot size, which doesn't seem to have a lot of support. The other option would be add a third stipulation that would, the goal to bring both lots into compliance with the minimum lot size. Which, from what I hear, it looks like the second option is what we're on board with. Does that pretty much cover it?
Yeah, I mean, if the residential lot is gonna be R1, then that's only what, 12, right? Is that right? Yeah, so.
So they would it's just all whether they can
it-
carve it
right,
out of that.
Right, carve enough to get the other one into compliance, right?
And I understand that preference is to have a nice clean lot line, and I hope that would be still something they would pursue, so we're not getting a strange, division between the two lots.
We go back to the aerial photo again. I'm still, so the driveway that's south of this building now, that driveway is actually on this property, right? It's not shared with the house to the south, right? Or do we know that?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay, so I mean, he's still gonna have that driveway for access to the residential lot, and then, depending on,
The petitioner is proposing a cross-access easement across Lot 1 for convenient access into, there are actually some overhead garage doors that would provide, enclosed, parking.
inside the building, he's gonna actually have a garage and inside
Correct,
the
yeah,
building
so
for
that would
indoor
come
parking.
via the north driveway. So the residential structure will have the benefit of this curb cut here.
Oh, okay, by a cross-access easement, okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the chair would entertain motions regarding the preliminary plat of subdivision and the final plat of subdivision.
Well, I can move that the planning commission recommend approval of the preliminary plat of the Boulevard subdivision.
Hang on a second, so just, that was a typo, it's supposed to be the Show Bars
Oh, yeah.
subdivision, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, let's take two. Still my motion.
Yes.
And I would move that the planning commission recommend the preliminary plat of the Show Bar re-subdivision, subject to the two stipulations set forth in the planner's report and the third stipulation added by the planning commission of compliance with the minimum lot footage square footage as to lot number 1 of 24,000 square feet.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Can we get a vote by roll call, please?
Mr. Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Menace,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Renzi,
Yes.
Chairman Kiefer.
Yes. So the motion passes. Can we get a motion regarding the final plat of subdivision?
Take turns. I move that we recommend approval of the final plat of subdivision for the Show Bars re-subdivision, subject to the following two stipulations in staff's report, and the addition of a third stipulation that the I-1, Lot 1 meet the minimum 24,000 square foot size.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded regarding the final plat of subdivision with the two stipulations found in the staff report and an addition of the third compliance as recommended by the Plan Commission. Can we get a vote by roll call, please?
Commissioner Renzi,
Yes.
Mr. Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Menace,
Yes.
Mr. Segerbrook,
Yes.
Chairman Kiefer.
Yes. So the second motion also passes. Normally at this time, we'd say good luck with your project. There's no one here to hear that, but we do want this to go forward. That concludes our new business. There's nothing under old business. We can open for discussions, any other items we want to bring. I would like to just maybe call to Jonathan's attention. At our last meeting, Commissioner Renzi brought up again the idea of having some sort of highlight cover letter with our minutes. And I know we've been talking about this for several years now. We were just wondering where we're at with it. And our biggest concern, I think, shared by many of us on the commission, is that our minutes don't formally get approved. So there's a concern that our recommendation and our discussion isn't brought to the attention of the board till after they take action on the case that we had heard. So has there been any progress on that?
I have not yet implemented that cover sheet, but I will say, particularly if a case has extensive discussion and even a dissenting vote, that discussion is reflected in the staff report, and the minutes would be attached, even if in draft form are attached
So the
to
draft
staff
minutes?
report. So taking this case as an example, I did articulate, as my understanding at least, the rationale for the Plan Commission's recommendation relative to the rezoning request, so the village board had that, that information available.
And there'd be nothing to preclude you from including the unapproved minutes, right? Just so they can see.
Yes, and I have been as a practice since the suggestion was raised earlier this year.
I just think part of it was we didn't know if there'd been any follow-up and where that was, so. Any other items for discussion?
Well, just to follow up with that, as yet another new staff person was introduced, because before we were going with, I guess, skin and bones, and so it was basically you. And now we need to have the process reflected, I think, that just, so there's a little more, I don't want to use the word urgency, but a little more cohesiveness maybe?
Continuity.
Continuity, that's good. In institutionalizing the format, so that way, when Andrew goes to prepare something to go up, oh, okay, I need to have this form, and this is where I'm supposed to put all the bold highlights or whatever, and this is where I put the vote. So that sort of thing, and it just, as a guide to everybody, so I like that word, continuity, just more continuity for the board, and that way, I think.
Cause you'll find, yeah, 'cause-
Well, I can't be, I almost said we, but at least for me, I never had any issue with what you did and how you did it. And so I want to be very clear that that's not really the motivating factor, Jonathan. It's just simply now that we are again, have multiple planners, I like that continuity. We just need to have that. And just as we have a format for all applications that come to us, we need a format for all recommendations that go forward, that's all. At least that's what I'm thinking.
Any other items for discussion?
I had just a couple, but I'll defer to the commissioner if the commissioners had any additional comments or questions.
Go ahead.
I just had a few reminders or informational for informational purposes. The village board, I believe, will be hearing an update to the strategic plan at next Monday's committee of the whole. So if you're interested in hearing the progress since I think it was last released in July, not a lot of time has gone by, but we have made progress on a few fronts. Next Wednesday will be the first of 3 community focus groups on an effort to prepare some conceptual plans and treatments for our gateway opportunities. So the significant entrances into the village, and then kind of some secondary gateway areas. Upland Design has been hired by the village board to prepare some conceptual sign plans and as well a plant palette and kind of landscape treatments that we could implement as opportunities arise. The focus group has been kind of identified to be a sounding board to help provide some input to that process. They'll meet monthly in September, October, and November. So the first meeting is next Wednesday, just for information. And then our third staff member, Jake, I know you met Jake at your last meeting. He is conducting a showcase event for commercial real estate brokers. That'll be on Wednesday the 21st, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. Not specifically development related, but I think it does underscore the village's additional efforts to reach out and to try and spur some additional development here in the village, which could potentially result in cases that are before you here down the road. So just wanted to give you, keep you in the loop and give you some updates.
Thank you, Jonathan.
John, since the entry, I just noticed at, 127th and Naperville Plainfield Road. So is that a new entry monument that's being built there on that corner?
You know,
or-
that's a common question, so thanks for the opportunity. And
Yeah,
to the
I just
extent that
have-
anyone is hearing and listening, that is a sign, a private sign that was approved pursuant to a sign permit application for
Okay.
for the property at the southeast corner
Right.
of Naperville Plainfield Road and
Okay.
127th Street. The property is zone B3.
Right.
Commission might recall that was dictated by the
Small
annexation
entities.
agreement going back 20-plus years, but I
Right.
think they procedurally came through for rezoning within
Right.
the last year and a half. The property owner's intention is to operate potentially a small retail space out of the existing farmstead structure, selling items such as reclaimed barnwood furniture and some just unique items of that nature,
Oh, okay.
with potentially some additional use of the property in the future that could require special use consideration by the Plan Commission and Village Board.
I was naive enough to think that might be a new village entry monument sign.
The sign, I approved the sign permit, and
Yeah.
I do wish I had the opportunity to have some additional discussion about the size and scale of the sign relative to the property. So,
And since we're taking minutes, I don't know about everybody else, I would assume that we all got invited to the church's open house, the ribbon cutting ceremony. That was what was in my packet.
I saw that too.
And so I think we should have that just reflected in the minutes that we all got an invitation from the church.
Anything else? Okay, our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, September 20th. Check your emails if something comes up, you should receive a packet if we have cases. And at 7:30, we will adjourn the meeting. Have a good evening.